Welcome to my craft area. I'm Anna Hellman and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Let's look at today's project. The project I'll be sharing today is this really cute kangaroo card made with the Kangaroo & Company stamp set and these coordinating kangaroo dies. This is a card we recently made for my stamp camp that I had not too long ago, where people get to come and make 16 cards in just a few hours. So when I do these events, I have everything pre-cut and ready. And in this video, I'm going to show you a handy little tip that I used at stamp camp for stamping a lot of die cuts, and another little handy tip for how to tie bows if you have a problem with that. So we will get started here. This is a simple card to make. And like I said, I'll share a couple of handy tips as we go through. So here are the materials you will need. You need a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of black cardstock folded in half for the card base. You'll need a piece of white that measures 4 by 5.25 for the inside. Here is a piece of designer paper that measures 2 inches by 5 inches. And then you'll need your pieces for the kangaroo. I die cut that out of crumb cake. You may want to stamp it first and then die cut it, but I'll show you my tip here in a few minutes for why I die cut them first. Here's a piece of 3/4 inch by 1 inch paper for the little letter. Now you can die cut that letter out with the dies if you want to, because I was preparing a lot of these for a lot of people, I just cut out the little rectangles. And a 1 inch circle. For the bow, you will also need a piece of twine. This measures about 12 inches. And like I said, I'll share a tip here for how to tie bows if you have a hard time. So let's do our stamping first. I'll share the tip for how to stamp die cuts. And this is one that a lot of people love this tip. Some people wonder, well, what's really the point? But I will share it with you and you can decide if this is something that will help you. Now, if you're doing a lot of die cutting for Christmas cards or any kind of project in particular, it can help if you die cut through 2 layers of cardstock at one time. You can get 2 die cuts at a time and then come back and stamp them afterwards. But how in the world do you stamp perfectly for a die cut that you have already cut out? Well, I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to ink up my kangaroo. It does not matter where my kangaroo is on my plate here. Just somewhere away from the edges. So I stamp it there on my mat. If you have grid paper for your Stamparatus, you can stamp it in onto the grid paper. And then you're going to need to bring in a negative piece from your die cutting. And you are going to line this up right around where you just stamped. Now, mine has boatloads of tape on it. This is the way I'd prepared it for my stamp camp when I had quite a few different people who are going to be using it to stamp their kangaroos onto their already cut die cuts. Now, I can clean that out if I want to and wipe it off. I'm not really worried about it. So what I'm going to do is put my kangaroo in there, ink up the stamp, and now it is ready to pop right out. Now, sometimes I have a hard time popping these out, so I use the sticky end of my Take Your Pick tool and it lifts it right out. But look at that. Look how nicely that die cut. And if I was just stamping this on my own without this handy trick, there is not a chance I would have stamped it that nicely. Now, just to show you the real benefit of this, if you're just doing one of these, there's really not a benefit to doing it this way. If you're just doing one, you'll probably stamp it first, die cut it second. But if you are doing lots of die cutting, it is really nice to do it this way. And you can stick one in, ink up your stamp it, and move on to the next one. So I'll tell you, I have gotten a lot of help from my family out of this trick. I have had my teenage stepsons helping me stamp die cuts. I've had my husband helping me stamp die cuts. We've gotten a lot of stamping out of some of the family members with that trick right there. So that may be something that could help you out sometime. Now let's stamp the other pieces for the front of the card. We'll stamp the little letter. And we will stamp the circle. I chose the greeting that says just hopping by to say hi. And let's look at this stamp set up real close while I am thinking about it. There is so much in this set. You have the large mama kangaroo. We have two little tiny kangaroos. We have a bouquet, a heart bouquet, a package or gift bouquet, the little letter, some little grass, little heart, butterfly, birthday hat, and then these cute little greetings. And these greetings are tiny, and I love them for that reason. So I'm using the one that says hopping by just to say hi. Now you can see how small that is, and then how small these others are compared to it. So you'll get to see a couple of these others here in a second. Thanks a bunch. Hello, just a note. Hello, baby. Happy for you. It's your day. Love you much. Just for you. So there are a lot of cute little pieces in this set, and we are going to use a couple of them on the inside piece for this card. So I'll show you how I stamped this one. I have the kangaroo here, the little letter, and then here is how small that little thanks a bunch is, which I really like that. So what I'm going to do for the inside of this one, I'm actually going to ink up the little kangaroo, stamp it down here. I will stamp that letter up here, just like I did on my sample. And then I am going to use the little hello stamp and put it right there on the top of the envelope. So you can see really how small those are and how cute and detailed they are. So now I think we have our pieces ready. We will go ahead and assemble. So I'll put this piece on the inside. As you can see, I did switch up the stamping on the inside from what I'm going to say would be traditional, where you put your greeting right here in the center. I thought this would be a fun way to switch it up a little bit with the little letter at the top right and the little guy kangaroo at the bottom left. I think I said right. I think I'm getting my directions mixed up. So if I just said the wrong one, just ignore me. I'm sure you know you're right from your left, even though I may not. So now I'll put my designer paper on here. And we will need some dimensionals to pop up the kangaroo. The little circle. And then I'll show you how I attach the letter after we get those two on. So put one on that, and we'll put a few behind the kangaroo. I'll point this out. I have not mentioned this. One fun thing about this kangaroo is when you die cut it, it is actually going to cut an extra little slot right here for the kangaroo's pouch. So when I showed you the die set, or the stamp set, I'm sorry, with the flowers and the gifts and the hearts, you can use any of those things to be coming out of the kangaroo's pouch, which was really fun. So I'll attach her right there. We'll put this right here. The letter, I wanted it to be coming out of her pouch. So how I did that, I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this side, and then I put one of our mini dimensionals up here on the corner of the letter. So I'll peel the backing off of that, and then I'll add a little bit of adhesive. Should have grabbed my Take Your Pick tool. If you've seen that, that is a really handy way to get those paper backing pieces off. And rather than trying to put some tape adhesive on there, I think it sounds easier to put a little bit of glue here. Now, I could see myself having a hard time picking that up, so I use my Take Your Pick tool. Again, really handy tool. And slide that right down into that hole, stick that dimensional in place, and that is going to stay put right there. Now, for my last tip about how to tie a twine bow. This can work with ribbon, but it works especially well with twine. And if you haven't seen my video on 10 tips for tying a perfect bow, Really encourage you to check that out. We'll link to it right here. But what you're going to do to make this bow is make 2 little loops, one in each hand. So one between each of your thumbs and your forefingers. Now you are going to cross these and basically make a bow with them. So the right one has now crossed behind the left one. Now they've switched places. In the one over here, I am pushing down and through the loop at the bottom. I'm sure this is going to be difficult to see, but if you check out that video I mentioned, it will help you. And everything got tangled, so we're going to show you again because that will help you out, right? Loop here, loop here. And the more space you have in between, the easier this is. It actually helps if you pull them to a point. I'm sure that will help me out here. So now I'm going to push this one down and through that loop at the bottom. Now things get a little twisted up. So if you untangle a little bit, do a little fidgeting and make them smaller, then you are going to basically just tighten them up and you will have a very nice looking bow. Now I started with about 12 inches, which is extra. This is a lot easier if you start with more than you need, then less than you need. And that is just a really handy tip. I've been able to show that to very beginning brand new card makers and they have complete success with it. So you can attach that with a little bit of glue if you want. Here's another little tip for using a glue dot. I rolled it up with my finger so that it's really tiny and narrow. And now I'm going to stick that right behind that knot. If you don't roll it up, it is going to be too big for your little twine, and then it's going to stick to your envelope or anything else nearby. So there you go. A cute little card with this kangaroo set. Hopefully a couple of these tips were helpful to you. And that is today's project. Thanks so much for joining in today. For more information and links to the products used today, click in the video description box down below to visit my website. Make sure you also click down below to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell to receive notifications when I share new videos. I truly appreciate you being here, as well as every like, share, and comment that I receive. I'll see you again next time when I'll be back helping you to hand make with love.